Alright, so today I decided I'm going to share more about my PCOS journey. I was diagnosed with PCOS in high school, so I think I might have been like 15 going on 16 or something like that because I had my period for 9 months, off and on, mostly on. I was bleeding so heavily that my cramps were so bad I would puke what I would eat. I was losing so much blood I ended up in the hospital. Where they said I was anemic because obviously I was losing so much blood. That makes sense. But at the time they said the only thing we can do is prescribe you birth control pills, and that should help to regulate your cycle. And for years I was off and on different birth controls just because they every single one of them had different kind of effects on me, and I did not like it at all. I personally didn't really understand why. I mean, at the age of 16, I'm not thinking about having kids then. But when a doctor tells you that when you do want to have kids, it's going to be harder, you're gonna need to have some sort of help, assistance to get pregnant. And that for me was just like, so why are you telling me to take something that's preventing someone to get pregnant? Not that I was trying at the time, but obviously that hormonally does something to the ovaries and that whole area, right? And you wanted me to take that for years, and then eventually when I want to have kids you want me to come back and take something else to help me get pregnant. That made no sense to me in my head. PCOS is something that there is no treatment per se. They don't even know how it occurs from my understanding. Again, I am not a doctor, so don't quote me on these things. I'm just speaking about my own experience with this. So yeah, for years and years into my early 20s, still tried different things. Then eventually I was going to a naturopath, and the naturopath basically had me just changing my diet a little bit, which did help a little bit. At this point I was no longer taking birth control. I was using other kinds of methods of protection because I wasn't trying to be pregnant still. Yeah, I was just changing my diet, and then I went from that to just getting really active. And I did find that with being active, that was my cycles were getting more regular again. I was having less cramps. My period was maybe 3 days long, and it was getting consistent, off and on, obviously. Mostly good. So I actually kind of became obsessed with I was basically living at the gym at one point. But that definitely helped me. But then later in my later 20s, I was having the same thing happen again. And I did find that when I wasn't very active, is definitely when it would come up again, or kind of have struggles with it being consistent. I mean, I never really had it on the dot every month, but I was having a period. And then I was 29, which isn't that long ago, and I think I went almost just about 2 months or something without a period. So again, I'm like, oh my god, this is happening again. And I decided to go see an acupuncturist. This lady actually used to work in a fertility clinic, and I told her about my PCOS and everything, and how I wanted to do the acupuncture to help to see if maybe it would help me have regular periods again. And it did. And then around the same time, I had a friend who's a doctor, and she specializes on stuff into helping women with PCOS and everything. She even has a whole Facebook group about it. If you want, you can check out the group. It's PCOS Holistic Support. Her name is Dylan Cutler, and I hope I said that right, her last name. Anyways, so I did actually, if you look through my videos, I did do a review about the thing that she posted on her story and that I started to take. It's really good for ovarian health. From my understanding, it's a really high vitamin B. Again, not a scientist, not a doctor, but at the time I was taking a powder one. I just recently started taking a capsulated one. It's called inositol, so myo-inositol. And when I was taking the powder form, then a month later after that, I ended up getting pregnant. and with my now 14-month-old that I shared in the last video. So that's been kind of like my PCOS journey up until then. After pregnancy and after breastfeeding, I did go back on a birth control. I don't know why, honestly, but I did, and I again didn't like the way I was feeling with it. Decided to cut cold turkey. I have not had a period since November. It's now March. It's 4 months now, no period. I've never gone this long without one. In my inconsistent cycles of the past, like, it's never been this bad. So now I'm back to taking the Intersil powder. I also started taking calcium, magnesium plus D vitamin because the past 2 months, maybe longer, I've had like dips of feeling super exhausted. Honestly, a lot of the symptoms were almost like pregnancy related, but I'm not pregnant. I've taken 2 blood tests and 1 pee test in the last 4 months. And I also had an ultrasound this morning, and the doctor is like, well, there's definitely no baby in there. I'm like, I honestly didn't think I was, but I just want answers. I just want to figure out how I can fix this, because obviously if I want to have a second baby in the future, I need to be ovulating, I need to be having periods, and I just want to know that my health is okay, you know, at this point. And I'm just sharing this story because I know there's other women that are struggling with PCOS as well, and I just want you to know you're not alone. And this is my story, but this PCOS shows up differently for every woman. As for the blood work that I had been doing as well, he checked my thyroid. There is hypothyroid that runs in my family, and I have not been officially diagnosed, but my thyroid levels have been down, but not down enough that they would prescribe me any medication for it, according to my doctor. So this is the 3rd time. The first time, no, technically the 4th time. The first time that they said my thyroid was a little bit on the lower spectrum, but still like okay, not having to take anything for it, was when I first became pregnant with Abriana. And at the time they obviously couldn't even give you anything because I couldn't take it. Or at least that's what I shouldn't say obviously. I don't know if there is actually a way to do it, but at the time she said she didn't feel comfortable to give me anything for it because I was pregnant. But that was the first time, and then in the last 5 months I've had 3 different blood work done, and that's what he's told me. So I am actually going to be asking him for a copy of that blood work, to ask one of the ladies that answered me in the Facebook group about it, because she wants to look at the levels that he's talking about and whatnot. But my energy level's gone up ever since I started taking these 2, because before I was literally feeling so exhausted that like it hit 4 or 5 p.m. and my head would just be pounding, like pain right here. The brightness didn't help, and I would just have to go to bed. So I feel like that's a lot more to do with hypothyroidism. But I know that your thyroid can also affect your ovulation as well as your periods from coming. So that's where I'm at right now, and I will share more of my journey if you'd like to know. But yeah, that's my story, and that's PCOS for you. I just want to share my stories just to see if anybody else connects. Maybe we can chat, and just know that I know that I'm not alone in this journey, and I know that it looks different for everybody, but I vowed to be as real as possible on this platform and share every little aspect of my story, because I don't know who could be hearing this, who needs to hear it. So if that's you, comment below, follow along my journey, subscribe, like, and because why not? Spread love like you would Nutella.